Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. On today's show, we have David Dorf and Storytime. Welcome, David.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure talking to both of you.
Yeah.
Well, it is nice to see you again. And I thought we would revisit this idea of telling stories about what it's like. I mean, what is it really like in your dark days as a teacher? The reason I say the dark days, because I know that they're going to come in our stories today. A couple of stories we'll tell about our times and struggles, but maybe there's a sweet story in there somewhere in the darkness. And we'll probably laugh a little bit too. We did last time. But David, I know you used to work. This is your second time here, but remind us again. You teach middle school, correct?
I currently teach 7th grade world history at it's a K through 8 school, correct?
Very good. Now, we know it's a trial to teach middle school. Share with us some story of interest in your days, either as a middle school teacher or maybe your days at SEA. What pops into your mind?
When you guys asked me this a couple weeks ago, I was thinking of a couple stories, and I had 3 stories in mind, and the one that always popped out was when I first started at SEA. Soledad and Richmond Action, and Jacob Aguilar got me my first job over there.
Yeah.
You, Jacob.
And you still talk to Jacob?
I'm sorry about it, Dave.
I still do. It was actually, it was in the city of Albany, and it was at a church, and right across the school is a candy factory. I used to go across the street. You could back then in 94, 95, you could actually get a case of candy apples for like $8. So I would go there a lot. So I'm gonna put on my teacher hat because I have 2 hats because I'm gonna tell 2 stories. So this is kind of my teacher hat. It has the angels, but it has Fullerton here, and I'm gonna tell you why I wore this, and both of you guys would find it of interest. A couple years ago, my daughter and I went to spring training for the Angels, and Jose Mota is one of the speakers for the Angels. He's one of the commentators, and he actually went to Cal State Fullerton, and he actually signed my hat. It says "Go Titans." So
that's awesome.
Yeah, the son of Manny Mota.
I love Manny Mota. Dodger, David, just so you remember.
Well, that's not my story, so I just wanted to segue into that. So I'm putting on my teacher hat, and when I was working at SEA, it was 94, 95. I worked about 2 years. All the kids, it was 7th through 12th grade, so all the students that came to us, they had a probation officer. So my first time teaching, I'm like, this guy was scary, you know. But after teaching a while, the kids were great and all that. And so it was probably in maybe September, October, that we started school, and it went to like 8 to 12. And this one student, he came in about 45 minutes late. And he's walking up the stairs, and he's coming in, and he's coming in with a big gulp in his hands from 7-Eleven. And I'm like, okay, not a big deal. So then he starts passing it around class. So at that time I had an assistant, so she went to go check it out. He had rum. It was rum and Coke in his cup. I'm like, okay,
wow.
Well, this isn't good. So we had to call the probation officer, and probation officer came down and took him away. And he was gone for a while, so I assumed that he was taken to juvenile hall or whatnot. So I didn't see him for about 2 or 3 weeks, and then all of a sudden, this kid, and it was towards the end of school, this kid is walking up the stairs, and it was him. Like 3 weeks later, and he's in like a trench coat, like a long coat. Now at this time, I'm like scared. Okay, is he going to shoot me? Is something going to happen? So he walks up, and he goes into the classroom, and he walks up to me, and his hands are kind of in his pocket. And for the first time in my life, I was thinking, I'm in trouble. He pulls out his hand and says, I want to shake your hand, Mr. Dorf, and thank you for all that you did for me. At that point, I was like,
oh my.
I was relieved, and then I had to, reflect on it, and I'm not sure how we kind of had that relationship, but at that point, I kind of like, okay, I think I can do this.
Wow. That is, you know what? I've had a couple of times where kids come back later. I think we didn't share it in the last episode, and you're not sure how they're going to treat you, but to have that, then that must make you feel good.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. At that point, I'm like, okay, I think this is what I'm here for. I think this is what I'm supposed to be doing in life.
That's
That's
cool,
really
dude.
nice, David. I like your story because it starts off very Saya-like, passing around rum, but like,
Yeah.
so. And by the way, you mentioned they have probation officers. This is an alternative education school for those of you that no longer exists, but alternative education where, yeah, like you said, students are, some of them coming in and out of jail, got kicked out of the district and so forth. Some of them very violent. So you thought you might have, but I liked how that ended. Well, Jake, what do you got?
Well, I'm not like Dave. I have three. I think I'll just share two today. But one of them, I'm going to have to share about the story I share with my students every year. I share this story every year. I talk to my students about plagiarism and, not taking material from other people and not giving them credit. And I share with them, you know what, you guys, you'll lose a full grade if I catch it. And I don't look for it. It just kind of pops. You guys know how it is. It's like pops in front of you. You're like, oh, shoot, I have to deal with this. And it happens every year, at least once. And so I tell them it's going to happen. But I wish it wouldn't, but try not to make sure it's not you guys. And then I tell them the story that many years ago, I still remember the year, it was 2004. I was at Elizabeth Learning Center, it's a K-12 school. And I think it's the only one in the district now. And as I was there, I was teaching AP government class. And I had a couple of students who, one of them was going to Stanford and one of them was going to Berkeley, top students. And guess what? They plagiarized. And I had told them to be the year, just like I tell all the kids, don't do it, you're going to lose a full grade. So I told them both privately, I have to lower you guys a grade. And they were upset.
That's actually really nice. That doesn't sound, you're being nice.
Yeah. Oh, just one grade, right? I told them that when I was in school, in college, they told me you'd be done, maybe even done from the school, right? And so, yeah, you get kicked out possibly, right? And I told them a situation once where I put a word on my hand and it was still there, and the teacher approached me. I'm like, oh shoot, and that was not right, and they could have totally kicked me out for that on my hand. So, anyway, so I give them personal stories, and so basically what happens is. When the kid who's going to Stanford never talked to me about it, but the kid going to Berkeley, he one day, right soon after, he finds out from Berkeley, they're saying, well, we might not take you, right? Because you got a B, and it affects his GPA. So he opens the door one day after school. I have all the chairs up on the tables, and he's at the door. I go, yes, and he goes, Berkeley just told me I might not get in, and I go, oh shoot, and he starts coming at me. And he starts throwing the chairs, and he's coming my way. And I got up, you guys, and I thought, oh shoot, he's gonna come at me. And I bet he's bigger. He's a big kid. And I'm like, I'm gonna give him at least one before he before he hits me. I'm gonna give him one good one. And I think I could, tell people I defended myself. And he's coming. He's right almost close to me, and he's throwing down chairs. And he goes, I can't believe it. He screams, ah! And then he takes off. I was so scared. I thought he was gonna beat me. And of course I'd tell the school, and eventually they let him in, but still I tell it to the kids. I go, hey, I was willing to get beat up but I'm still going to take down a grade if you guys cheat. So that was kind of like moral of the story, is that don't cheat in here, because if I didn't back down to that big kid, I'm not gonna back down to anybody. But yeah, that was a scary moment, like yours, David. It's like, am I gonna have to get beat up here or get killed?
Wow, that's a scary and interesting story. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm glad it worked out. I was not sure.
It's so funny with these stories is because I had two written down, and you get your memories triggered, and I thought of something else, and
bring it up an audible.
Here we go. So this was Saya. And I was a TA, so I wasn't a teacher at this point. And we had a oh man, how much time? I'll give the edited version. We had a teacher that was just this guy's a good man, but very soft on these students. And I hate to use the word weak. And I used to tell him, you have to stand up to these students. And I'm going to say his name, Jose. Tell Jose when he comes in and any of these students to take their headphones off and put them away and stuff. And so Jose I remember this kid, big, old gangster, Latino gangster, intimidating looking, came down the steps, goes in, has the head. And I told Robert, look at that. He's got the headphones. I encourage him. So he goes up to this kid, 6 foot, I don't know what kid, and says, give me your headphones. And he goes, what? Give me your headphone. And I'm like, wow, he's standing up. And he said, no. And then finally, after 3 times, he hands him the headphone. And Robert goes to put it in the drawer. At the end of the day, this kid comes to Robert and says, give me your headphone. Give me my headphones. And Robert says, no. And I was like, whoa, he's telling him no? Interesting. Because you didn't give it to me the first time, I'm going to hold him till tomorrow. This is what this teacher said, who has never shown this kind of good man, but never shown this kind of moxie. And Jose says, what? No, not till tomorrow. And he goes, give me my headphones. And Robert again says, no. And at the same time, his friend was at the door saying, Jose, his friend was his ride. I got to go to the DMV, so we have to leave. Not until I get my headphones. And Robert says no again. And Jose says, I'm going to tell you one more time to give me my headphones. And he said a word. I can't say it on this channel. And then we have the secretary from back saying, Jose, can you just leave? It's no big deal. Fernando's over here at the door saying, let's go. I got to go. And Jose goes to the drawer. And remember those metal, the metal cabinets, and you pull out the long, spear. It's a long pointed thing in the metal cabinets. He pulled that thing out.
Yes, I remember those.
And he goes, I'm going to tell you one last time to give me my headphone. And headphones. And Robert heard the wrong message from me. I regretted telling Robert to stand up to these kids. I go, what was I thinking? Because something clicked in him at the wrong time, though. And I remember thinking, we're in trouble here. And but somebody had just told me, because I didn't know what to do. I was a new SEA guy. I didn't know what to do either. I was clueless. But somebody I just talked to said something to me just the day before, and I knew what to do. And it's related to what David said. These kids are on probation. So I just walked up to him. I said one sentence. He looked at me and he walked away. And all I said was, Jose, here are your headphones. Get your headphones. However, because this is the nature of the beast at SEA, and I knew this, you can't come back here anymore. Because that's a threat to the teacher. You're threatening a teacher. We shouldn't have to
your
worry
probation officer,
our backs, They have probation officers. And he knew he would go to jail if he was kicked out. So headphones weren't important at that point. And so there's my headphones story.
Wow, that's amazing. Oh my God.
I thought you were gonna get doesn't get bloody. I'm like, oh, Ruben.
It was about to get bloody. All right, David, what do you got?
Okay, so I'm gonna change hats here. So I brought 2 hats. I'm gonna go to my little
very
coaching.
Good, David. I like what you're doing.
I brought my little props here. I had another story from when I was at Madrid. I'm at Twin Lakes now, but I was thinking of this one that just kind of popped in my head probably yesterday. So with SRLA, this is my 7th year coaching, and this was 2 years ago before the pandemic really hit. And at Madrid at the time, we had initially had about 70 individual students trying out for SRLA. And with SRLA at our school, we only get so many spots, and so I had about 30 spots. And so after a couple months, we were down to about 28, 29 students. And so we work out twice. We work out on Mondays and Wednesdays at school, and then on Saturdays we do our long runs. And I had this one girl who was struggling, and she was a little bit overweight, and she was diabetic. And she was out there, and she was always trying. And there was this one training period that it was like, should we keep her? Because with SRLA, you have to be under a 15-minute mile pace. So like if you run like 2 miles, you need to be under 30 minutes and so forth. And she was like above that. And with SRLA will, disqualify those students. But she was out there and she was trying. Her parents were out there and her parents were encouraging her. So she went to, and this is probably maybe about in November. So she went to the doctors because she has to get checked. And she did all of her blood work and lab work. So she told me the next day, she came back to school and said, Mr. Dorf, I'm not diabetic anymore. I don't have to take my medicine. My blood work is great. Doing all this exercise out here has really helped me with my eating habits. And I was floored. I was like, oh my God, that is so cool. Amazing. And I think that's what it was all about. And her parents were so grateful. And so we kept her. And she was one of the last ones to finish the LA Marathon. And she did it though. But halfway during the season, I was kind of worried about her being diabetic and not eating right. Because there was one time before that she almost passed out.
Oh, geez.
We weren't sure if her blood sugar was low, but when the parents came back and said, oh man, the doctors were so happy with her. And so that just kind of said, okay, I know it's not a teacher story, but it's kind of like a teacher coach story through the school. And so that made me, this is what it's all about. And I had to get, I got my first tattoo when I was 47. And nice. So I don't know if you can see, but I put SRLA for life on there.
Awesome, dude.
Crazy stuff. And so for me, that means a lot. And then those youngsters that are actually becoming healthy. So
that's great. I mean, that young lady is going to always remember that, and that her health changed.
Isn't it true, David, that you just feel privileged that you could be a part of someone's life? Like you know that some people don't, and there are certain occupations don't get those opportunities, I
definitely feel it's an honor for me. I pray every day when I go to work. I pray for different things, and but I'm always thankful, and that God has put me in a situation where I can be a teacher first of all. But this is my 7th year in the program, to be able to be a part of that and have them accomplish some of their goals. So for me, I'm always thankful, and I don't take it for granted. Definitely.
That's awesome.
Excellent. Okay, Jacob.
Wow.
So
I can't talk man.
You might as well just give up. Raise the white.
Give up. Oh, shoot. All right. Well, I can't beat that, but I will share a story that I think taught me as a teacher. I was a younger teacher. This happened over 20 years ago. I used to teach nights. Actually, I shouldn't say I used to. Every so often, I'll still like substitute night school if a district calls me. But so I was teaching in Fullerton. Oh, I'm not sure if I ever told you this, Dave. It was over 20 years ago, like I said, and it was an independent study program, a little similar to SAIA, but they just come in and out, right? And mostly adults and getting their GED. And so towards the end of my time there was a new principal that came in, and you know how funny, how principals are. So trying getting to know them, and they're getting to know you. And so one day I go into the where the principal's at, and he wasn't there. I think I was going to go say hi to him or whatever. And the secretary stopped me, and she was a really nice lady. She goes, "Jacob, I need to talk to you about something." And I said, "Yeah, sure. What's up?" She goes, "Well, there's a teacher," and she goes, "I know this is not true, but there's a teacher," and she told me the name of the lady. And I didn't know her. It was another teacher on the program, but it's kind of a big campus. And I didn't know this woman. And I said, I don't even know who you're talking about. She said, well, this woman approached the principal and told him that you've been coming in drunk and you've been sleeping out in the back where where the books are kept, right? And back in my classroom, there's like these shelves. And I started laughing because I said, is it a joke? Are you joking with me? I'm like, I come in drunk and I'm sleeping on camp, on these bookshelves.
That's a smart move to laugh, because that shows that you're not lying. It shows credibility to your lie.
That's great.
I was like, she goes, I know you don't come. I've never seen you come in drunk. I go, I don't come. I don't drink. Now I've a glass of wine every so often. But anyway, I was like, no, I just laughed it off. So about a week or two later, she goes, Jacob, I need to talk to you again. And I go, what? She goes, this lady approached the principal again and told her that you've been drinking and you're sleeping in the back room. And I said, okay, I got to meet this lady, right? And so this is where my mistake was, though. I went and I met her, and I said, "Hey, my name is Jacob," and she was startled, like in her eyes, like she had never. I knew she never met me before, but she jumped like she was kind of scared. And I thought, "What's going on here?" What I should have said is, "You know what? Did you miss? You know, I know you've been talking to the principal." Or I should have just said something about that, but I just wanted to. I said, "No, I just wanted to meet you." And I put my hand out. I thought maybe that will stop her from talking to the principal. Well, sure enough, the next week or two, they start making cuts, and guess who got cut? I was done, and I said, you know what? Maybe I should have approached her or talked to the principal and say, hey, you know what? This, but it reminded me that, man, people talking, sharing, with other colleagues or administrators, that's information that's not true. You kind of have to stop that right away. Not kind of, you do, because man, gossip burns down careers. And in my case, I'm glad it was an extra gig, but it was ugly. And I still think about that. I go, wow, somebody talked bad about me, and it was so untrue. And it really affected me, and it reminds me to not allow that anymore.
Yeah.
Someone's saying something wrong. No, you got to approach them and stop it.
Unfortunately, some people interpret silence as admission of guilt, because we want to say, oh, well, God will protect us, defend us, whatever, that kind of mentality. Well, no, you got to say, hey, this is not true. You're defaming my character here.
And I should have done it. And I learned from it. Never again.
Well, this means that there's one more story to tell, and I got to go back to Saya, because this is one of the stories that just I'll just say it. One day, it was the exact same site. I was TA. It was the Cherry Street Compton site. And this is the mid '90s, so there was some real violence on the streets at the time. And so I was sitting right. My desk was right next to the window, but it was a little bit high. But you could see what's going on out there. And a car pulls up. Out comes one of my students. Still remember his name, first and last. It's one of those things I won't say though. And he walks towards the door. Another car. So that car pulls out. And then a car rushes up into the driveway there. Another kid comes out of the car, pulls out a gun, points it directly at my student, who's just a few feet away. And he's right at the door, but too late. And this kid empties out his gun.
Whoa.
Right. I'm right there looking at this. And empties out his gun, gets into the car, drives away. So I think it was 5 or 6 bullets. How many times do you think my student got hit? Now we're talking about, he's about 10 feet away, maybe?
I would say 0.
I'd say 1.
Oh, Dave said 1. That's a pretty good guess, too.
Not 1. He missed my student from that close. So I developed a theory after that, that gang members you only hear about the ones who get hit, but a lot of times they miss.
and hit somebody else.
I think they're the worst shots, of anyone around. But I don't want to say that. I would never say that to a gang member. And my student walks down the steps, takes his book and his contract. There's a thing called contracts, the work of the week. Sits on his desk, and starts his work. And I go up to him, I go,
no way. Oh
yeah. And I go, I almost said his name. I'll just say his name, first name. I said, Carlos, are you okay? And he goes, what? What do you mean? I go, what just happened out there that you got shot at? Oh, he goes, that? Oh, no, that's some bullshit. That's some bullshit.
Oh, wow.
And I go, well, that didn't look like bullshit. That looked real to me. And he says, well, I'm fine. Did you get the plate number? I'll call the police. No. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Oh, jeez.
And I looked at him. I go, is this something that you're going to take care of? I was just curious, and I had to ask that question. I go, why? You're going to take care of this? You saw who did that? He goes, oh, I saw who did that. I saw who did that.
Ah, jeez.
And you just walk away shaking your head. By the way,
violent back then.
After that, when the door slammed, I would jump a little start, because those bullets were just right outside my window.
Oh, dude.
Anyway, that's a nice, sweet way of ending story.
Yeah, thank you, Ruben.
Yeah, I don't think we can top that. And I was just truly amazed that he came back into class and was just working.
Jeez. Another time, yeah.
You could argue he's the best type of student.
Dave, there's another time. I'm not going to tell the story this time, but maybe next time, Ruben. There's a time when I was at Ruben's school and there was another shooting and a kid got hit. I'm not sure if you remember that, Ruben.
Oh, that's for another day.
Another time.
I do remember that. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you, David Dorf, for your second go-around at the Pod and Deliver podcast. You're always welcome here.
Yes, David.
Thank you, David.
Thank you. It's an honor. I appreciate both of you guys. Love you both.
Right.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Love you too.
Love you too. And we'll see you next time, everybody. Bye-bye.